Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/James Poartistry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Poartistry creative productions and work. See also jamespoartistry.online. Hello, Perceptive readers. This is James Lynch. Are you a consumer and a supplier with your intellectual know-how, your intellectual property? But in this case, I am talking about your conversations, what you have to use your schooling for in everyday life, or even for special reasons or extenuating circumstances. And depending on your occupation, you may actually get paid for being a supplier in that way. Now, today on YouTube, you see, and many other video platforms, you have persons who still have formed a forum. Yes. They have also formed master classes. And then you have some who actually just, do commentaries and talk about this or that. You can see that maybe in a variety of ways, I apply in several of those circumstances I just mentioned. But the whole point is this. Well, let me leave out the masterclass part, because again, that's what I would still say James Poartistry production is on talking about some of these subjects. As you know, it goes beyond just a regular level of understanding on a matter. And so in the spirit, though, of what, my father used to say to me sometimes about, is people have to have something to talk about, or it's just for people to have something to talk about. There are some very interesting topics that were running around today and early this morning, and I was like, ooh, on another day, I wouldn't mind making about 4 or 5 videos on this or that subject. But no, I'll just go ahead and wait and get to each one as I feel moved to. Unless, see, this is where people, like I told you, they get paid for being a supplier in this area of their intellectual knowledge of what they know how of this and that. And you see, and sometimes by people even being moved to show their appreciation, maybe buy me a coffee, or maybe Patreon, maybe something on that line, where you can actually still, whether people call it a tip or gift, you hear me emphasize that in a lot of ways, you see, it's still not like they're just giving you a handout. You actually had given someone so much value, they were moved to give you this currency in that way. And I really want to emphasize that, because it's not even a handout. Making people or causing people to feel good in this world and to learn something that they can hold on to, and it will bubble forth in their heart and mind to benefit their life in some way, even if it's just a good word, a kind word at times, a way of looking at a situation at times, that's still valuable. And if you didn't have that person around you because they had to go away to find something to eat or what have you, when all it would have took was just maybe a few, pennies to $1 a day to keep them around you, a lot of people would say that's worth it rather than to lose that person altogether. Well, all the same, I'll give you an important aspect of this. And it did come from one of the posts that I read this morning on my minds.com, James Poartistry over there. Yeah, I still have the account over there, minds.com, James Poartistry. And someone had actually made a post about the AI and how the AI can only be logical. And see, and I know exactly what they're talking about. Here it is. You put information in, and it was talking about even logical with ethics. Even logical with ethics. And so you put information in, this is right, this is wrong, this is correct, this is incorrect. And so the AI, and especially if you put the judgment with it, the sentencing, that you see what I'm saying, and programming in this way or that way or what have you, it can really, cause some problems. And that's what this one person was bringing out in their post. You see, they were talking about the AI. And one thing that I want to say about when you're making your point on this matter or that matter, that's why I said, there's so much double talk in the world anymore today. That's why I said when you sometimes have to address a subject clearly, what I would try to do? I would just try to keep it straight on the subject matter at hand. Not try to send in messages, you see, like some people do in certain ways or what have you. But that just happens at times. And so, talking about the AI, okay, what was mentioned, and this is not something that I've had a chance to look up, but they put, over, I think 1 million cases or so maybe, or what have you. But when it came to actually dealing with the, I guess you could call it a charge. They didn't call it charge in the post, but if they place this already in some type of judgmental manner or what have you, where whatever they were designating themselves as, in this case, they were stating that they were homosexuals, to the AI. And when the AI, you see, factored in that this person was homosexual or what have you, apparently, the judgments, came out, just plain bad with an adverse judgment to it. So I don't know if it has something to do with discrimination jobs or what have you, as if this was allowed, I don't know. Remember, these were just scenarios, apparently over 1 million of them or what have you, unless they were real cases. I don't know. But what the person was saying is that it was scary to them, basically, to rely on the AI in that way. And also, it's a shame what the programmers or the scientists, ethics scientists and programmers were doing with the AI as well. And they didn't like it at all. See, I know that's really interesting, see, about the whole ethics matter. And you've heard me address this in a variety of ways over the years as to one of the reasons why I state this is why you still have to have human judges. You should have human judges. It's something that should never be phased out. They shouldn't, because they can factor in, excuse me, my coffee. Where my throat really. They can factor in the whole situation. See, it's one thing to state that, okay, according to this law book or this reference or what have you, spiritual or otherwise, that this is the way that's viewed as, you see, the correct way. But it's another type situation when you realize, even when it comes to ethics, people still have their choice to apply what would be considered, and really is ethical, a universally accepted fact or what have you, on whether they want to, apply those situations in their lives or not. And it's one of those situations where, okay, if within their own personal space or what have you, they decide to do this in this way or that way, and that's their decision, that's their own soundness of mind or what. Well, I know I don't want to go off the subject, but the whole point is this. Then we realize that's that person, and of course, in the end of all matters, it'll still boil down between them and God. It's another matter, as I told you, if people take whatever their ethics happen to be, whatever their philosophy happen to be, and then they purposely go on a vendetta, you see, of discrimination and destroying and criminality or what have you, to go against a person who don't believe the way that they do or don't apply this ethical value in the way that they do. Anytime you got to throw rocks, throw stones, get criminal with it, as I would say, then guess what? You have already defeated your own logical and soundness of mind, so to speak, argument. And that's what we need to always do. No matter what the situation is, when you have disagreements, there's a way to handle disagreements. Okay? And normally when people feel that they legitimately have disagreement, they're still thinking within their mind then that they're a good person, isn't it? Well, don't betray the fact that you're a good person, as I said, and then actually start doing a whole bunch of criminal stuff, mean-spirited stuff against somebody else. But yet, you're saying your argument is because of the goodness of a situation or just, and in the way that you're responding, the way that you're acting. No, it's not. No, it's not. So all I'm going to tell you is this. A judge will be able to just factor in the situation, the conflict. You see a human judge, and there's ways of doing that. Sometimes you can do it on the first hearing, and then there are methods used that you can still normally come to a conclusion, a better solution to the matter. And they don't always take as long as sometimes people would think that they take to come to what will resolve this situation or that situation peacefully. Not everybody probably will get what they want, but I tell you what, at least the peace will be maintained. But see, you have to do things, again, if you want to, more even in a due process, peaceful way, you see. And I say sincerely, some of it deal with confidential letters, some of it deal with confidential talk. But see, that's the whole point. That is also part of it. And not everything is meant to always be for the public consumption. No matter what some feel, it's not. Take care.